Hey y'all, it's Pete with On Fish Protect. Just doing a quick gear breakdown of some of the stuff that I used when I went out to the eastern side of Lake Sakakawea. I did my underwater spearfishing. Just gonna run through the basic gear here quick. Obviously I was running a wetsuit. I ran a 2.5 mil full body. Definitely was a little bit under thickness of what I should have been wearing, but it's what I have. I'll be ordering a thicker one for spearfishing in the future because it definitely cut down on my breath hold time. I wasn't able to stay down nearly as long because I was cold, so I will be upping my game on that side of things and getting a nice one. Outside of that, what I was running for fins were these Cressies. They're just a longer fin, made for easier, less effort while I was diving. They worked out really well. I would say fairly rigid, hard plastic, but very comfortable to use. Definitely realized that I have not used fins in a while. My calves felt it, my legs felt it, but all in all they worked out really well. I highly recommend them. For goggles, these are just super cheap goggles that I got off of Amazon. This is an old snorkel that I had lying around. A lot of my gear is hodgepodge together. I'm not a professional by any means at this. I'm just doing it because it's fun. I did get a waterproof case for my action cam and put that on top of here. These goggles did come with the mount, that's why I ordered these. I have a couple pairs of personal goggles that didn't have the mount. Rather than drilling holes or trying to find a way to put the camera mount on here, I just ordered one off of Amazon. I think it was like 25 bucks for these goggles. They're not very high end, but they worked out wonderfully. I just cleaned them properly and then used anti-fogging treatment on them. As far as it goes for safety equipment, I have a dive knife that goes with, just in case I get hung up on something or a rope gets tangled, then cut that nice and quick. Or for dispatching fish and bleeding them out. The one catfish I did shoot, I stoned it, so I didn't have to worry about dispatching it by any means. But it's always good to have that safety with. With safety, I did run a dive flag on my boat, and then I did a towable dive buoy and flag with me, so that I always marked my spot. And then I had 100 foot of rope connecting me, or actually my spear gun, to the dive buoy. That way I could never get outside of the distance required by North Dakota law. The one thing that I didn't have was the float rope that's supposed to be used in that. I didn't get it in the mail in time, so what I used was just a cheap orange safety line, and it was a pain in the butt. As far as it goes, on a scale of 1 to 10, it was probably about a 5 for safety because it liked to sink, liked to get tangled, and I do not recommend that. It will not be used in the future. I will be going to a dive float rope that is thicker and doesn't tangle as much. With the wetsuit, you are needing to add weights to this. I was running about 8 pounds of weight for myself with that 2.5 mil wetsuit. It's just because wetsuits are inherently buoyant and you need to balance that out, and you set the weight to your body composition and to the wetsuit buoyancy, so everybody's going to be a little bit different. There's calculators online that you can use. That's what I did, and I just picked the lower end of the weight, and it was actually just a touch heavy. When I went in the water and just floated, the water would come up to about right here, but as far as achieving neutral buoyancy when I dove down, I didn't have to fight anything. I sat nice and steady when I got down in depth, and it was just perfect for me. So I'll have to up it when I get my next wetsuit and add a few more pounds on, but I'll just adapt that as we go. I do have a little D-ring that I put on here, and that goes to a fish stringer. I didn't have to use it this trip, but I do have a little fish stringer. You can just look up dive fish stringers. There's a couple different kinds. There's a metal clamp that you can use, which seems very nice, and then there's just like a cable length with a metal stringer at the end of it, or a metal spear type thing at the end, where you feed it through the fish's jaws, gills, and it just spreads out and holds it. I have that style one. It works, or I assume it works. I'll hopefully use it in the future, but it's very simple. It's just what I went with. Now, as far as what y'all really want to see, this is the spear gun that I went with. It's a Mako Titan Elite 80 centimeter. For shooting on Sakakawea, this was the ideal length for me. It was long enough to get a good sight picture, but short enough with that little bit of a murky water where I didn't feel like I had too long of a spear gun to actually be able to see. If you guys were watching, you'd probably notice that the farther the fish was away, the murkier it was, the harder it was to see, and longer spear guns make it harder to track in murk because you got to swing the gun through the water, and it's just easier to maneuver. So I happened to pick the right size gun when I ordered, and it worked out really, really well. These Makos are super nice to use, very simple. The bands are quite strong. It takes a bit of effort to actually load these things. So if you're not overly strong, I'm sure you can just reduce it down to 1 band or find something like that. But I ran 2 bands just because, well, I don't know what I'm doing 100%, so I ran full strength. Maybe in the future I'll decide that walleyes don't require 2 bands and I'll take one off and just run 1 band, but it's what it came with, so it's what I used. But I highly recommend this as a good starter gun, a good Lake Sakakawea gun. They keep the labels on the bottom, so if I ever bend my spear, I know this is what I got to replace it with. The spear is 120 centimeters, and as far as it goes, this is the actual spear that gets shot out. It's just a rod, a couple of fins welded on, one that attaches to your spear gun, and then the other one's the band goes to. And then it's just got kind of a little flopper on the end. That's what actually gets the fish. So once you shoot a fish, it goes on, the flopper goes down, the fish can't struggle back off. Very simple design, very similar to a bow fishing arrow. And it worked really well. You guys saw with the catfish that I shot that it definitely didn't have any issues with punching right through a catfish's skull and popping out the other side. And yeah, I can only imagine that with a walleye at a short shot, it'll definitely get a pass through. Now, with that, there is that length of cord that attaches back to the spear gun. It's not very long by any means, but realistically, it's going to be a length that I'm not going to be able to shoot any farther than that anyway. And then there is a little bit of a bungee here that connects it to the spear gun, so there is some forgiveness in there. Now, I did connect my spear gun to my dive flag, so in the event that I had to actually drop the gun, whether it be I shot a fish that was running, say like a carp or a buffalo here in North Dakota, or something happened underwater and I needed to shed weight and get to the surface quick, I can just drop the gun and go. That being said, again, I'm a novice. I'm not here to give you a lot of safety information or anything like that. I'll leave that up to the more professional divers. For me, this is just a hobby. This is just the basic gear that I use. I did use little neoprene booties for my dive fins just to keep my feet warm. The water temp definitely was conducive to wearing that. I didn't wear any gloves. I didn't really feel like I needed them. It was decent enough out, but any future in the season I'll probably pick up a pair of gloves just for that. And then the good wetsuits do come with a hood on them so that you can seal your face up. The one thing that I found was at the time I had a beard and my mustache did interrupt my face seal on the mask, and I was getting water into the nose portion of my mask quite a bit. So before I go next time, I will be shaving the mustache off. That way I don't have to fight water so much. There's ways to get around it, but realistically, if I'm going to go out and do this and to be serious about it on any given trip, I'm just going to shave and be done with it, not have to worry about putting whatever on my mustache to try and make a waterproof seal. Outside of that, that's just kind of the absolute basics for spearfishing here in North Dakota. I'll get into the regulations a little bit later, and then I'm going to put together a full video that's going to have all these different segments on it. So stay tuned. I'm going to chip away at this as we go. Just give you a little bit at a time for what you need to know if you want to go out and try it. For those of you naysayers that say it's easy to do, no, it's not. There is no sight on the gun. You're shooting by instinct. Now, I've shot a lot of guns, bows, everything in my lifetime, so point and shoot is pretty simple to me. The only thing that I had to kind of figure out is the vertical up and down, whether I was going to shoot high or shoot low. I happened to be just right on with this on the 2 shots at fish that I took. The one, I just happened to shoot in front of it. I let it too much at the distance we were at, and I watched the video back, and yeah, I put the bolt or the spear right in front of it. You'll be seeing that on the videos coming up as well. There was a lot of carp that I got to practice on. As they swam by, I would just practice aiming, but yeah, it was very, very simple and intuitive to me. Maybe you want to go out there and sink a target in the water, use a dive weight to sink a pop bottle or something where you can practice on it. I thought about that, then I saw fish and I got excited and just started diving. But again, I'm kind of rambling here, so we'll come back around to it. I'll cover a lot of the things that I'm missing right now in future videos, but stay tuned. The next video is going to be covering the rules and regulations that North Dakota has to offer when it comes to this type of thing.